Hey guys, tonight we're diving into the soft candlelit haze of a medieval morning routine. Imagine waking up without the blare of smartphones, just the gentle nudge of daylight stretching its fingers across your face. Cozy up in that warm blanket and picture yourself in an old, creaky wooden cottage, probably wearing some delightfully scratchy wool. You probably won't survive this. Without a snooze button, that is. Before you get too comfy, feel free to tap like or subscribe, but only if you're genuinely enjoying the calm around here. Tell me where you're listening from and what time it is over there. I love seeing how far this sleepy little journey reaches. Now, go ahead and lower the lights. Maybe let a fan hum in the background, and let's drift gently into tonight's story together. So it's early morning, and you're snug in your tiny medieval bed, stuffed with straw that sticks out at all angles, like an impromptu hedgehog. The rooster crows. It's not just a cartoon stereotype. They were like the town criers of the animal world. You stretch a little, crack a few joints that probably shouldn't pop that easily, and shuffle out from under your single coarse blanket. You're wearing a linen shift, the medieval equivalent of those pajama pants we all pretend are decent enough for a grocery run. Now, you might think of breakfast as waffles and coffee, but in the medieval times, breakfast was often more of an afterthought. Maybe a hunk of yesterday's bread, or some leftover porridge that looks like it's holding on to life by a thread. And hey, nights back then weren't pitch black like the void. Even candles didn't see you through till morning all the time, so a warm fire was more than a necessity. It was like nature's nightlight. While you nibble on what's basically a medieval power bar, you tie up your laces. Of course, medieval footwear didn't come with those fancy elastic shoelaces. Shoes were more like foot-shaped pouches, but they did the job. You step outside, the cool morning air kisses your cheeks, and around you, everything looks just a little bit frosty. The village is stirring to life like a slow morning playlist, with people mumbling greetings and dogs deciding whether they'll be your friend today or lock eyes with a squirrel instead. Historians still argue whether medieval peasants had actual weekends or if it was just Sunday, a single blessed day of rest. Nevertheless, work was always at the forefront, whether it was tilling fields, sowing seeds, or, let's face it, trying not to succumb to the eternal medieval tiredness. That's right, even back then, naps were a beloved reprieve from the grind. While the fields await your presence, yesterday's lingering chores follow you like a loyal pup. Honestly, medieval life was just a constant game of, what should we try to fix today? It's like when you've held a philosophical debate with yourself over whether fixing that leaky faucet really matters, and then remembered you forgot what tool you'd need anyway. It wasn't all work and no play, though. You had communal activities, a bit like the village's own TikTok dances, only it involved actual community and movement, of course. Picture yourself linking arms with neighbors for a local folk dance as some self-appointed minstrel strums away on a lute. Maybe someone's trying to juggle. No one said it was a sophisticated gathering. A fun little fact: there was always the chance of getting called for jury duty, even back then. Though can you imagine deciding a serious matter while your friend sheepishly whispers commentary behind you? Maybe that's why William the Conqueror decided to record everything in the Domesday Book in 1086, documenting the lands and resources in England like an ancient Excel spreadsheet with none of the functionality and all the details, including livestock counts. And speaking of fun-loving surprises, the local fair might just pop up, bringing with it the joyous chaos of rudimentary amusements like sack races and the kind of food that'll make you laugh at the simplicity. Picture sweets that are basically hardened candy, which basically sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen today. But back then, value for the coinage. And yes, superstitions thrived in a charmingly strange way. Dropping your walking stick on a Tuesday could mean misfortune for weeks, while crows, many crows, were perhaps seen as unaffordable psychiatrists with wings. The morning is starting to flex its muscles of productivity. You head towards the fields, where your efforts are as sure as that lone boot you found in the attic and routinely wear when no one's looking. Planting in medieval times involved lots of manual labor. No tractors here, just you, and maybe a trusty ox pulling more than its weight. Before long, you set your mind adrift, wondering if you'll ever get used to the blisters that map your hands. It's like trying to type an entire email with no spell check. Familiar, but somehow eternally frustrating. But with every small harvest welcoming a bounty, or whatever was close to it, there was that peculiar medieval persistence. Every day started with hope, a lot of dirt, and the perpetual question of, I wonder if nature's going to cooperate today. Just as you contemplate calling it a morning, the bell from the church tower chimes, reminding everyone that not everything happens on their terms. While you shrug, the morning mellows around you, cradling you in routine, a mix of effort, humor, and the shared solidarity in realizing that even though history might seem scripted, the days feel new to those who live them. You chuckle to yourself, wondering if one day people might watch videos just to fall asleep. But for now, the medieval sun rolls on, painting the world in hues of possibility. As the sun inches higher in the medieval sky, the world around you starts to buzz with the ordinary rhythms of life. Honestly, it feels like that moment when you realize you forgot to put the milk back in the fridge last night, but with fewer panicked sprints to fix it. Today, the air is crisp, and the smell of damp earth clings to everything like your emotional support hoodie. You wander back home, where you're greeted by the gentle chaos of animals milling about. Chickens cluck as if they hold the secrets of the universe, while a stray cat eyes them suspiciously, like it just knows there's more to supper than meets the eye. Your morning loaf, which resembled an ancient artifact more than breakfast, wasn't quite enough. But lunch looms, so there's hope yet. So here's a fun fact to ponder. Not everything was medieval doom and gloom. Did you know that dyeing fabric wasn't just a job? It was also kind of like creating your own medieval fashion statement. Imagine having a robe as vibrant as the forest, but with the lingering scent of onions, because natural dyes weren't exactly designed with floral freshness in mind. Life, back then, was vividly utilitarian. Now, the townsfolk are knee-deep in their daily tasks, a bit like sending emails, if emails required sowing seeds or weaving cloth by hand, that is. There's chatter as you pass the blacksmith's nook, where metal clinks like an offbeat drum. Historians still argue whether blacksmiths were the medieval celebrities, because when your cauldron needed fixing, guess who saved the stew? While wandering through the narrow pathways, you notice people exchanging small baskets, bartering like they're dealing in limited edition sneakers. It's a system as old as time, or at least older than your last impulse purchase on a midnight shopping spree. Some people debate that modern economics wouldn't exist without these rudimentary trades, but honestly, We'll leave that ponderous thought to tomorrow. Afternoon edges closer, bringing with it the scent of something savory simmering away in a nearby kitchen. You follow your nose, as one does when it promises something other than oats, and find yourself peering over a cauldron filled with a stew so hearty it should probably come with its own medieval fitness regime. This kind of meal is straightforward. Boiled meat, some root veggies that survived last season's harvesting, and maybe a pinch of spice imported by those brave souls who sailed the stormy seas. But wait, here's the wild part. Medieval spices were like the diamond-encrusted bagels of their time. They were expensive, often fetched from far-off lands, making their way into hands that were likely as grubby as Gabriel's list of manual chores he routinely ignores. Yet, a dash of spice could transform a meal, elevating it from peasant to feast, if only in flavor. The village square is bustling, filled with women gathered around a communal oven, like a vintage version of a neighborhood Facebook group, exchanging tips and anecdotes over freshly baked goodness. And there you are, slipping into the mix. Because who wouldn't want to secure an extra loaf for the road? Skipping stones over the nearby pond, or watching the village dogs playing their version of tag, you're reminded how even the simplest of amusements carried weight. After all, they didn't have the latest streaming service to binge watch while pretending to fold laundry. Laughter was an ancient tool to pass the time, as your hands busied themselves with tasks that occupied both body and mind. As the day grows kinder with its warmth, you share stories that tumble past lips with the kind of abandon you only hear after the third round of sake, or in this case, ale. Tales weave in the air about peculiar figures and spirits that supposedly haunted the old woods nearby. You probably won't find many villagers daring enough to wander that way after dark, though sometimes a wayward sheep needed rescuing, sparking rumors more fascinating than the actual recovery itself. You pause for a moment, resting against a tree, thinking about how night will soon cloak the village in shadow, ushering people back into their hearths with warm fires crackling like ancient whispers. It's a bit like returning home, with cheeks stinging from the cold, and knowing your favorite show won't judge you for queuing it up again. As the sky above dips into hues of deep indigo, your heart finds peace in what's left undone, not in laziness, but in modest acceptance. Tomorrow will come like every other, rolling from dawn till dusk, driven by the perpetual pull of duty and discovery. And now, as folks gather their cloaks tighter and bid each other soft good nights, you wander back home, a little weary, yes, but carrying within you the low hum of a day well lived. Wouldn't it be something to know that one day, stories of our quiet moments might echo just like this one, a sleepy yet steady step through time? As you close the door behind you, leaving the evening chill outside, the world gently begins to still around you. Inside the cozy confines of your medieval home, there's a comforting sense of calm settling in. The fire crackles softly, its light dancing across the walls as shadows play their timeless games. It's a familiar scene, like the one you might paint in your mind when you just can't get comfy in bed and decide socks are absolutely essential. The air inside is thick with the day's scents, a mix of herbs drying by the window, damp wool, and somewhere, the remnants of the stew's robust aroma. It's a sensory overload in the best way possible, like when you walk into a bakery and let yourself wander in the warmth of easygoing delight. You sink into a well-worn chair, the kind that's molded to your shape over countless evenings of being your best medieval self. Maybe If you're lucky, the wood doesn't even creak too much when you move. With your feet up, you smile at the simplicity of it all, which is akin to the unexpected joy of finding your favorite song on the radio when you'd given up hope of hearing it. As family or fellow villagers gather around, there's chatter, laughter, and the exchange of stories like prized treasures. Tonight, the air is thick with tales of valor, misadventures, and a particularly cheeky rooster who's got a reputation rivaling any viral memes we obsess over today. You laugh along, perhaps chiding the storyteller with good-natured teasing. And honestly, isn't that the essence of it? Finding joy in the little things, in shared stories that ease the heart and make it a tad lighter. There's a togetherness here that brings comfort like a patchwork quilt you never want to leave. Turning to the quieter ones gathered near the fire, you catch snippets of hushed conversation pondering the skies above. Medieval folk were stargazers in an era when the cosmos held more questions than wriggly toes escaping cozy blankets. Every glowing dot up there felt like a mystery, and honestly, there was something blissfully innocent in not knowing, allowing imaginations to roam fierce and free. There's another thread of curiosity weaving through the room. Historians still argue whether Halley's Comet in 1066 truly struck fear into the hearts of the English people, heralding doom and change like an unnecessary plot twist in your favorite series. The tapestries famously depict it as a celestial marvel, but, amusingly, we're left wondering if it might just have been humanity projecting their earthly worries up into the universe. Stories wind down softly, replaced by the symphonic sighs of a tired but satisfied group as they settle into the gentle rhythm of night. Your eyes wander to a small candle burning low, wax pooling lazily at its base, and you remember how hampered medieval life might seem without modern, eternal lighting miracles, and how, not unlike our phone batteries, clinging to that last bit of power, those candles were tokens of fleeting illumination. Sleep approaches, tugging you sleepily under its spell as firewood crackles and settles. And as your eyes flutter shut, you find solace in the thought that these moments aren't just fragments of history stapled to dusty archives. They're whispers of the past embroidered into the present, like old friends who casually pop by your thoughts when you least expect it. When you finally surrender to sleep, your mind drifts along with the gentle currents of stories, hoping they wrap you in dreams, warm and curious. It's the kind of slumber a knight might seek after 100 battles, profoundly comforting amidst the weaving narratives of unwritten nights. Medieval times may sometimes feel like a far-off land of dust and duty, but tonight, as you tuck yourself into the plush comfort of your own adventure, you realize one truth remains constant. Stories have carried us through every shadow and dawn, every unknown, and sleep, sweet and stirring, is the refuge where they leave us, tranquilly afloat. The morning sun shyly peeks in through the little window, greeting you with a kiss of warmth, gently reminding you of the day ahead. You stretch like a cat with unresolved dreams, feeling a satisfying crackle in your spine. Honestly, waking up in medieval times was like those mornings when you set 5 alarms but snooze your way through all of them, except the sun doesn't have a snooze button. It's relentless, yet somehow comforting in its predictability. As you shuffle around, the remnants of last night's tales still linger in the air, mixed with the earthy aroma of herbal bouquet guards hanging above the doorway. Life is simple here. The complexity of modern-day problem-solving doesn't intrude. The existential dread of unread emails is replaced by the more immediate need to, say, prevent the goats from making a buffet of the garden. Speaking of gardens, today's work involves some hands-on farming. Now, let's be honest. Planting seeds is like scrolling through reels on 2% battery, an exercise in patience and hope. You don't know exactly what you'll get, but there's a certain thrill in the unpredictability. The tools are simple, handcrafted things like hoes and spades, which remind you of how far ingenuity has brought us, even if it sometimes falters hilariously. Ever met a medieval scarecrow that's more comical than effective? Back in the village's heart, a hubbub unfolds in the marketplace. There's something quaint about bartering for goods, a little like trading Pokemon cards back in the day. The same anticipation bubbles, with whispers of, "Will my bushel of barley secure more than just a slab of cheese today?" It's a dance of negotiation that has persisted through centuries, evolving with time but never quite changing at its core. Amidst the bustle, suddenly a loud clanging echoes. Someone, too enthusiastic, effectively announces their arrival as a makeshift town crier. Everyone turns their heads, a rare unscheduled entertainment. Moments like these remind you of our shared human nature. Even back then, people loved a good spectacle. Historians still argue whether public gatherings were more for news or just an excuse to update the medieval version of the grapevine. You find yourself engaged in conversations that drift whimsically, like leaves in an autumn breeze. Heartfelt discussions dip between the mundane and the bizarre. Did mythical creatures once roam the lands nearby? Or was Ted from down the lane just exceptionally convincing with his tales of winged beasts over a pint? And here's a quirky side note just for you. Medieval folks were low-key, obsessed with the moon's phases, aligning activities such as planting, harvesting, or even brewing ale. Because why not let a celestial body moonlight as a life coach? It feels akin to checking your horoscope, hoping the stars conspire to grant you a productive day. Back in the field, there's little time for idleness. Chores demand a rhythm, a symphony of repetitive motion where you find rare clarity. Much like repetitive games on our phones today, those distractions we love to need. Every stroke tilled into the soil, each weary breath, becomes a silent meditation if you'll let it. Nature listens as you murmur soft assurances into the earth, hoping that it gifts abundance anytime soon. As afternoon edges in with its golden glow, you take pause under an old oak tree, its sprawling branches offering comfort like the arms of a friend you've missed seeing in forever. This pause isn't just rest, it's a halfway mark, your breathable space amid endless to-dos. A cool breeze whispers around you, carrying with it a whiff of something delicious. Perhaps Mrs. Greenwood next door is baking her apple pies again, the ones that taste like happiness incarnate. You make a mental note to accidentally wander by her cottage later, in the same spirit we forget to cancel free trials. Evening begins its transition with a lazy yawn. You trudge back home, collecting your thoughts while considering the day's curious gossip. A couple cows are loose again. Might be due to the new shepherd apprentice still learning to whistle the right tune. Or maybe it's just the cows knowing they're due some mischief for all the diligence they've shown. When you finally step into your home, the world feels satisfyingly small and significant, entwined in the rich tapestry of medieval life. The fire's glow sets a scene of cozy containment, welcoming you back as if to assure you've wandered just enough. In the night's embrace, stars above stand sentinel, gauzy clouds the only witnesses to time sauntering on. Lulled by the familiar sounds of sleep settling around you, you can't help but wonder what tomorrow's sun might bring. Not so much with worry, but with a quiet, hopeful kind of longing. And as your eyes close, letting go of the day's montage, the simple promise of another sunrise, another story, is more than enough. The morning unfurls slowly, the kind of sleepy wake-up stretch that makes you chuckle softly at your dreams. They're now like whispers, fading into the tapestry of reality as you blink up at the thatched roof overhead. You rub a bit of sleep from your eyes, thinking vaguely of a memory, a dream where medieval scrolls were swapped for pixelated memes, both carrying their cryptic codes. There's no time to dwell, though. Life calls, or rather, it nudges gently, like a cat pawing for attention in the early hours. Today is market day, an occasion that draws the community together in a bustle of anticipation. Imagine the energy, like when you're off to the store with purse in hand, a list tucked neatly, only to return proudly with just snacks and nothing on that list, because priorities. As you step outside, the village comes alive with morning energy, a radiant sort of familiarity. Folks carry wares on wooden carts, their rhythmic creaks reminiscent of those quirky beats you find yourself tapping to randomly. A warm sun clothes everything in soft golden hues, as if the universe decided today should feel like your favorite blanket. You shuffle your own bits and bobs into a basket, trade goods, a bartered potato here, a concealed smile there, and follow the path that leads to a makeshift collection of stalls. They stand haphazardly arranged, each one an invitation to linger and explore. You settle into the slow, satisfying rhythm of market day. The banter, the bartering, the sense that you've momentarily stepped outside the usual confines of duty and routine, a bit like a stroll through an online marketplace, only vastly more personal. You engage in some friendly negotiation with the fisher, her face weathered by sea winds and stories as she offers up her fresh catch. Nearby, rows of vibrant vegetables stretch out in colorful contrast to the humble earth-tinted world surrounding them. Here, amidst the compelling variety, history and livelihoods collide warmly. Historians continue their lively debates, questioning whether these gatherings held more sway in medieval social structures than previously acknowledged. Were they not just needed for survival, but essential in fostering community bonds, forging something akin to what we now call social networking, a pre-Facebook village newsfeed, if you will. Laughter echoes as a familiar face approaches with a stack of new wool to trade. There's a comfortable humor in these exchanges. It's just good to find a smile amidst the seriousness of life. This wool is dyed a rich, impossibly vibrant blue, a process from woad, a dye plant that's part of what keeps these medieval colors not just alive, but spiritedly thriving against the passage of time. Nearby, a traveling peddler puts on an impromptu performance, gyrating to the laughter and clapping of the gathered crowd. He's a favorite part of market day, like stumbling across quality content in the meandering alleyways of your feed. As he juggling not just the eyes of his audience, but also the wonder and whimsy of ages-old entertainment, you can't help but feel enveloped in the timelessness of it all, even if only for a heartbeat. Afternoon descends slowly, like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze. The cotton candy clouds of the sky mirror the jovial spirit below. After securing your essentials and a little indulgent treat, which might just be a tiny wheel of cheese, you wander through the square. Watching the interactions, it's evident how such simple exchanges knit communities into tapestries as vivid as the cloaks you now pass by. Home calls eventually, and you find solace in the return journey. It's like reading that last chapter of a book you never quite want to end. Yet every step, heightened with companionship and a quiet symphony playing in the backdrop of life, leads you back to the simple joy of your hearth. When you arrive, daydreams weave seamlessly with the quiet hum of evening. The fire burns low, casting its warm embrace around the small room. You perch on a familiar stool, peering into the flickering flames that reflect the rhythm of history's heart and that of your own. As dusk gently unfolds, swallowing shadows and dreams alike, you consider how medieval life occupies this unique space between challenge and grace. Even today, the uncomplicated beauty of it can be profoundly comforting, a little like cloudless lullabies sung by a sky that decided, just this once, to look down and smile. Drifting off to the sound of crickets beyond the windowsill, the world in this quiet pocket of time feels light and full. Every moment, every breath, woven through the fabric of existence, singing its own secret lullaby. The soft lull of crickets fades as dawn tiptoes across the landscape, teasing you gently awake with brushes of light that sneak past the window shutters. You stir quietly, hugging the lingering dreams until they dissolve into morning's embrace. Waking up in medieval times has its own rhythm, one without digital alarms or notifications, where nature orchestrates the day's gentle symphony. You rise, stretching in a manner that's both languid and purposeful, like the way you'd greet a leisurely Sunday, although today holds its own demands. The village is stirring too. Soft conversations and the distant clatter of early chores reach your ears. It's a melody of mundanity, reminiscent of the comforting hum of your laptop as you close multiple tabs, seeking that elusive appearance of productivity. Before long, you find yourself outside, wrapped in a cloak that's seen its fair share of seasons. The morning air is crisp, and each breath feels fresh, like inhaling the first sip of cold brew on a summer's day. As your path meanders toward the fields, you're greeted with knowing nods and greetings that warm you more than the cloak against your shoulders. The fields await your presence, stretching out in a patchwork quilt of varying greens and browns. It's a landscape shaped by human hands and history, each blade of grass a testament to countless seasons of care. With tools in hand, you set to work, joints creaky, but spirit invigorated. Farming is your meditation, a series of repetitive tasks that appeal to the methodical part of you that always thought checking things off lists felt as sublime as striking gold. In this moment of solitude, your mind drifts to the ever-mysterious relics that communities have unearthed, pieces that tell stories about our ancestors' penchant for unsurpassed craft. There's a tapestry here, one historians are still trying to untangle. Was the art purely decorative, or did these designs hold deeper meanings, channels to the spiritual or supernatural? It's the kind of debate you can ponder under the sun's wandering gaze, nodding occasionally as if in conversation with the air itself. Time saunters on as you nurture the soil, like watching a progress bar that climbs gradually towards fulfillment. Tending to the earth isn't just about survival. It's about maintaining a contract with nature that feels as timeless as the stars glimmering above. You pause to wipe the sweat from your brow, glancing skyward to capture a fleeting whisper of clouds. There's peace in this simplicity, much like cooking shows comforting us from their glittering screens while we munch on ramen. As the sun hits its peak, you return to the village to meet the children returning from their own adventure. A small group of them tasked with gathering berries just beyond the clearing. Their faces, smudged and joyful, bring a smile that stretches across your heart as they compare their varying berry hauls. Today, the forest yielded less, but that's tomorrow's problem. Right now, the bounty, albeit small, morphs into spontaneous laughter and hasty picnics under trees like sentinels watching their mirthful subjects. The village takes on a different energy as afternoon begins to unfurl. Carts creak under the weight of daily chores. Items being transported remind you how the mundane builds the world, much like quilting an online persona through the carefully selected playlist of posts and photos. You wander towards the square, where children play games that have existed for generations. It's like clocking back into childhood, running, laughing, and racing with reckless abandon. Every game is a small epic, with heroes and legendary tales whispered within the confines of their imaginations. You watch, remnants of your past adventures flitting by, as vivid and nonsensical as a dream you recall, with a knowing, nostalgic smile. As shadows stretch long and languid, you find yourself drawn to the outskirts, where other villagers gather for a shared evening meal. It's an event that brings everyone together, woven into the daily rhythm more intimately than text threads or group chats. The pots dance with steam, releasing aromas that transcend hunger, invoking a sense of community that's been passed through every generation's hands like a sacred talisman. Conversations intermingle with the clinking of wooden bowls and the sizzle of hearth fires. Discussions ranging from the day's achievements to musings about the unfamiliar world beyond their ken. Perhaps there's a shepherd's tale about peculiar tracks in the woods, or sporadic murmurings of far-flung markets, those places tantalizingly just beyond reach. As the fire crackles and laughter lights up the evening, you breathe in this tapestry of life, raw, serene, and enduring. When the moon takes center stage in a sky strewn with diamonds, the village begins its retreat into stillness. Each yawned good night, a note in the symphony that has played for centuries. And so, you retire to your simple quarters, the day's stories, like threads, weaving your dreams with the same timelessness that carries the stars. There's comfort in knowing that another dawn will ripple through time, ready to entwine its hands with yours. Here, nestled in this gentle world of yore, tomorrow promises its own kind of magic. As the new day unfurls, you find yourself enveloped in a cocoon of soft light, sneaking past the shuttered window. There's a crispness to the air that tickles your senses awake, coaxing you from the warmth of your bedding. A welcome, gentle shift, as if the day nudges you with a sleepy promise of what's to come. It's a morning reminiscent of that cozy fog you wake up with after a really good nap, one you hesitantly part with, holding onto its softness even as you step into the world. Breakfast is a simple affair, mostly consisting of bread slightly past its prime, yet still offering familiarity in its reliability. You munch slowly, appreciating the earthy taste, reflecting on how some things never change, like your ongoing negotiation with your wardrobe of accidentally vintage sweaters. You step into the village square, where life crackles with the vibrant energy of the early risers. It's a communal hum, much like scrolling your social feed to catch up on all that's happened while you dreamt. Here, good mornings are exchanged with sincere nods and smiles that feel like warm hugs woven with unspoken memories. Today's tasks are manifold, but you start with a straightforward one: caring for the animals. There's something softly grounding about tending to the livestock, the creatures, and their peculiar personalities becoming central characters in your daily narrative. They greet you with bleats and clucks, a motley chorus accompanied by the faint rustle of straw underfoot. Each critter is endearing in its own, occasionally baffling way, like that friend we all have who sends memes just to see if we're awake. As the morning chores carry you through to midday, your thoughts wander to tales of far-off lands. There's talk of markets brimming with exotic goods, strange spices, dazzling cloths, and traders who spin stories as enticing as the goods themselves. Historians still argue whether these tales were built on kernels of truth or exaggerated to add color to an otherwise monochrome existence. It's curious how every generation finds ways to imbue life with magic, be it through stories or speculative whispers fueled by wonder and wanderlust. A quirky tidbit for you: medieval maps often held enchanting beasts and yet to be explored lands, conjuring images that occupy your imagination even now, kind of like how we see untapped realms of possibility when we wander too far into the deeper threads of the internet's labyrinth. The uncharted remains thrilling, forever baiting our wandering hearts. Returning from the stables, you set to the afternoon's labor, tending to the household's repairs. Little tasks: fixing that wobbly stool, patching the thatch roof, echo the eternal struggle of upkeep. It's a constant game of, when did this break? Akin to those moments when tech springs its unexpected glitches on you. There's a comfort in the tactile nature of fixing things. Your hands busy, but your mind wandering freely through its forest of daydreams. An impromptu visit from an old friend breathes life into the otherwise muted landscape of chores. The two of you reminisce, laughter spilling over memories as if time itself had folded to create moments untouched by the intervening years. There's a timelessness here that feels utterly soothing, like a melody you revisit not for its novelty, but for the tender fragments of self it anchors within you. As evening unfurls its tapestry across the sky, an intimate gathering forms around the hearth, its warmth a shared embrace against the encroaching chill. It's in these quiet moments where community casts its comforting net, like a quilt stitched together by countless hands. Here, you're not alone. You're part of an enduring narrative that gently reminds you of your place within the larger story arc of human experience. Under a velveteen sky, dusted with flickering stars, talk turns to mysterious wanderers, a frequent subject, as fascinating as it is enigmatic. Stories spin, threads weaving a fabric of adventure and curiosity. It's these moments that imbue the night with a certain glow, like the radiant undercurrent of shared secrets, where every whisper holds worlds unspoken. As the fire dwindles to embers and yawns echo in the space between stories, reality takes on a softness that edges you into longing for sleep. Your gaze drifts to the slumbering silhouettes around you, each one cradled by dreams as their breath mingles with the night. Returning to your small room, the world is hushed, leaving you to the inner monologue that pulls you towards sleep. You curl up under the comfort of familiar blankets, aware of the moonlight weaving its gentle illumination across your thoughts. There's peace in this small universe you inhabit, a nest woven from simple days and rich, quiet nights, tethering you to a continuum that stretches beyond the horizon. You close your eyes, surrendering to the gentle tide of dreams that carry you through the night, knowing the dawn will greet you with the same whisper of hope as it always does, cradling you in the simple truth that every day is an invitation to discover, to connect, and to embrace the joyous complexities of being beautifully, inescapably human. The dawn unfurls with a tender embrace, crafting wisps of light that dance softly across your room, coiling lovingly around the sleep-flushed warmth of your cheek. You stretch languidly, enjoying the quietude before the day engages in all its earthy charm. Slipping out of bed, the wind whispers through the cracks, carrying distant echoes of a world awakening outside your window. It's a gentle reminder, one that nudges you toward the simplicity of what lies ahead, much like a morning ritual of scrolling through overnight texts before fully emerging into reality. You ease yourself into the usual rhythm, finding solace in the constancy of well-trodden routines. Breakfast is a reprise of comfort. Simple, perhaps a tad bland, yet unpretentious and steady, much like the breakfast cereals that have borne witness to untold morning conversations, spinning stories as gentle as their fiber-rich flakes. Stepping into the world, the village unfolds itself anew, its paths weaving like a song beneath your feet. In the air, there's a crispness that awakens the soul, a fresh start that beckons the curious and stirs the dreaming heart. Across from your fields, the baker's chimney puffs clouds of anticipation, the scent riding the air like a promise of soft, fresh bread that makes early rising worthwhile. As you gather your tools, readying for the day's toil, there's an easy camaraderie that springs forth when you meet eyes with fellow villagers. There's laughter, teasing, and well-intended jabs, exchanged as naturally as breathing. Their presence is like an ensemble cast in the tapestry of daily life, each playing their part in this medieval show. Sans commercial breaks, where every face holds a familiar thread in your narrative. Into the forested fringes, you wander to gather wood, embracing the earthy scents of pine and loam. It's a task both demanding and meditative, but also one that invites musings of forgotten realms and whimsical creatures. Hidden under a canopy of leaves, it's easy to believe the world beyond holds more than meets the eye. Historians still argue whether our medieval ancestors truly saw echoes of magic or whether tales of fae were just creative embellishments passed along fireside whispers. Either way, those tales were as captivating then as any fantasy series binged today. Let's not forget the quirky moments that punctuated the day, such as encountering a rabbit with ears ridiculously oversized, hopping about like nature's jest, or a medieval rendition of a viral meme. The forest creatures are constant listeners and reluctant storytellers, sharing the woods with humans who believe them capable of more than simple existence. Returning to the fields, arms laden with nature's bounty and thoughts still twining between the seen and unseen, midday finds you pausing to savor the sun's kiss. With a simple meal of cheese and bread sprawled comfortably in a sun-dappled spot, there's nothing more the heart desires. In these pauses, you find the opportunity to appreciate life's unadorned beauty, like watching leaves pirouette through a breeze, each one a small masterpiece in movement and grace. As afternoon paints its warmer tones across the land, you engage in village talk. Local gossip garners as much interest as international headlines do now. Who's courting whom? Have you heard about the new craftsman? The informal discussions weave around you, the soft threads of fellowship binding everyone together in a kaleidoscope of shared humanity. One such charming tale follows Edgar, the miller's son, who believes he's managed to tame a wild fox, boasting it eats from his hand as though he were woodland royalty. Whether factual or embroidered with wishful embellishments, you have to admit, it'd make one captivating scene in an epic tale. With the sun dipping lower, hues languish into deeper shades, guiding everyone homeward like a tired voyager's compass. There's an elegant symmetry in the day's close, mirrored in the sparks leaping from freshly stoked hearths as twilight drapes a gentle arm around weary shoulders. Settling into evening's embrace, you cozy up with family and friends near the glowing fire. A congregation bound by laughter and softened tales cast into the welcoming ether. It's a warmth that feels like home, the kind that transcends time, patiently waiting beneath sleepless stars. Amidst the murmurs and languorous jokes, there's a charm to these hours that mimic heartbeats. The stories sail through raspy, fire-lit skies, drawing camaraderie and joy, a fellowship sewn together under the watchful guardianship of a night sprinkled with stars. Eventually, as all good things must fade, the gathering sighs content into its inevitable twilight. You trail to your room, cradled by the soft ebb and flow of sleep beyond the day's horizon. The familiar feel of your straw-laden bed welcomes you back, its embrace feather-light yet poignant. As your eyes flicker shut, slipping between morphine webs spun by your mind, you're reassured. Here, bathed in the dreams of endless narratives, tomorrow awaits like a parchment, prepared to take on the ink of stories yet to be told. Embrace this gentle drifting, where reality mingles with dreams, knowing each day writes itself anew, inviting you to continue the tale. The morning hue gently whispers promises of a new day as it floats through your window. Brushing softly against your cheek, you blink sleepily at the world taking form beyond your cozy retreat, still wrapped in the warmth of your dreams. There's a serenity in this lingering moment before reality taps your shoulder, like pausing just before you dive back into that show's cliffhanger episode. Rolling out of bed, you find your feet embracing the familiar chill of the floor, a soft reminder that comfort is always sweeter after a taste of the cold. Breakfast is once again the humble bread and cheese pairing that starts your day with a crumbly, savory contentment. It's a simplicity that resonates, akin to savoring a steaming cup of coffee that wraps itself around your senses like a cherished friend. Stepping outside, the village greets you with its usual symphony of rising life. The mix of clattering buckets, murmured conversations, and the clucking of chickens creates an auditory tapestry that wraps you in a comforting sense of normalcy. It's like that morning podcast you listen to while running through the routine, an easy washover of sounds that ground you in the day's unfolding chapter. You find yourself heading toward the village well, water bucket in hand. It's an age-old ritual, this drawing of water, a task that binds you to the rhythms of nature, as cyclical and enduring as the moon's dance across the night sky. The well stands solemnly, timelessly entrenched in its role as the village's lifeline. Here, news is exchanged with the kind of eagerness one reserves for the latest episodes, or before midnight new drops of the season's best sales. As you hoist the bucket from its watery depths, you're reminded of the ancient rhythms that weave themselves into the tapestry of daily life, a reminder of how tradition ties to the present, like a comforting anchor amidst life's bustling seas. Returning from the well, your day's sails are set toward the fields. The path is well-trodden, familiar, like the favorite route you take home after a long, satisfying day. Nature welcomes you with open arms, its gentle songs danced by the wind. The way the leaves flutter on branches speaks with a fallible wisdom, highlighting beauty's imperfections in the most unexpected ways. Once at work, your hands are busy with planting, harvesting, mending rows, tasks that mystically mirror the modern-day inbox. Each seed planted is like an email sent out into the ether, not quite sure what'll return to you. Yet even here, under the weight of the sun and the persistent hum of effort, there's a peace that's hard to find anywhere else, an understated assurance in the earth's slow, consistent whisper. As the sun hangs lazily near midday, you take a pause, allowing yourself the luxury of idleness wrapped in nature's warm embrace. Leaning against a tree, you savor the breeze wrapping its cool fingers around you, carrying the subtle smell of blossoming wildflowers and distant hearthwood smoke. You're reminded of leisurely Sunday afternoons spent basking in similar warmth, cocooned in time's slow dance. Not far from where you rest, a group of children play, echoing laughter that thrums around the periphery of your world, joyful and infectious. They chase one another with wooden swords and imagined dragons, crafting stories as vivid and far-reaching as the stars. You think of it fondly as their own interactive story mode, eyes alight with the flame of their burgeoning creativity. Historians still argue whether fairy tales of the time were allegories or just pure escapism, but that hardly matters in the gleam of a child's eye. Afternoon stretches like a lazy cat, guiding everyone back toward tasks as dinner fires are kindled, painting the village in hues of amber. The camaraderie of shared labor is a balm, the kind of harmony that soothes the soul as folk linger together, hands busy, voices intertwined in timeless patterns of, "Did you hear?" and "They say that." As evening draws its blanket across the sky, the landscape bows under the painted sunset, a symphony of colors marking the day's grand transition. You find yourself heading back home, basket filled with the day's humble victories. There's a sacredness in these cycles, a polite nod to yesterday's efforts and tomorrow's promises, each day a bead on the string of memory. Gathered around the hearth, the flames flicker and leap, weaving gentle warmth and light into the cooling air. Stories exchange hands over the crackling wood, a currency richer than gold. Here, tales spin webs that connect generations, binding hearts while unraveling life's mysteries through whispered truths and half-baked legends. You lean into the thickening twilight, knowing these moments are as precious as they are fleeting, like shooting stars that travel across a lover's sky. Soon, as night swathes the world in silence, you retire to your room, cradled by the symphony of crickets serenading the moon. The day's gentle closure whispers you toward the thresholds of dreams, where imagination sails uncharted tides beyond sleep's gentle shore. In this quiet world, wrapped in simplicity and gentle routine, you let go. Each drawn breath an unspoken pledge to the dawn of another day. Until then, nestled in this cocoon of historical echoes and softly woven realities, the world feels peacefully still, ever pulsing forward in its sleepy, silent grace. The dawn stirs with a light touch, tickling the horizon until it yawns itself awake. There's something about the way morning slips into being that feels like the final note of a lullaby. Gentle and coaxing, you murmur a soft farewell to the night as you shift beneath your blanket, savoring the comforting remnants of dreams before the day stakes its rightful claim. Rising, you pad softly across the room, the floor cool against your feet like an awakening embrace. It reminds you of those first sip of coffee chills, when warmth slowly permeates through to your fingertips, promising vitality. Your morning routine carries a simplicity that holds a profound peace. Bread and cheese, a rustic duet that conjures pastoral images and tastes of enduring tradition. Clad in layers to shield against the nippy air, you step outside, welcomed by a village slowly coming to life. It's the kind of scene that unfolds with a predictable rhythm, where each day starts as an encore of the last. You nod to familiar faces, whose eyes twinkle like morning's own greeting. It's as comforting as bumping into an old playlist, each song a kindly ghost of good times past. A curious venture today draws your attention to the village outskirts, where rumor has it a traveling merchant has set up camp. Your curiosity piqued, you join fellow villagers like pilgrims on a quest for the novel. As you approach, the vibrant array of colors and unfamiliar scents lead you in, part mesmerizing, part invitation. Here, treasures unfold, exotic spices, intriguing fabrics, and trinkets that promise stories untold. It's the medieval equivalent of an online marketplace, ripe for the wanderer with a fascination for the unknown. Historians still debate the impact these traders had, agents of change or merely visitors passing through. Yet, within these exchanges lies an allure, the promise of possibilities tucked within every corner, like secrets waiting to be shared. For you, it's an adventure cloaked in serendipity, much like stumbling across a particularly riveting rabbit hole on the web late at night. With baskets overflowing with discovery, you find your path back through the village, the sky overhead cheerfully blue. You marvel at the way nature dances with sunlight, bending it across fields until it splashes warm golds over the meadows. The fields are alive, meticulously worked rows growing quietly, much like the meticulous amassing of unread book collections, promising abundance not yet realized. Once back in the heart of the village, your efforts lean toward the practical, attending to the animals whose eager anticipation greets you with joyful enthusiasm. It's an easy companionship shared with these creatures, whose basic needs ground you with their straightforward simplicity. You catch sight of a cat sprawled shamelessly in a sunbeam, its carefree demeanor akin to losing track of time while scrolling through endless pet memes. The village square, vibrant under the afternoon sun, hums with life like an impromptu symphony. Conversations dart through the air, weaving narratives that range from the mundane to the magical. Reality entwined with imaginative undertones, much like the gentle prattle of colleagues unwinding after a long meeting. Everywhere you turn, there's someone eager to share, to engage in the eternal barter of stories, the greatest currency of all. You gather at a communal table, where a tapestry of dishes is spread in inviting exuberance, each plate brimming with the fruits of labor and nature's bounty. It's the kind of meal that doesn't just fill the belly, but colors the spirit. The culinary essence of beloved potlucks, where flavors mingle to recreate a tapestry of culture itself. As the day approaches its quieter moments, the village begins its slow retreat, casting shadows that dance elongated across well-trodden paths. There's an unbeatable grace in the turning of the day, where time drapes a loving arm over the shoulders of all, drawing them inward toward the comfort of hearth and home. In your small home, a fire crackles softly, its blazing heart the centerpiece of evening routine. It's here that you gather the strands of the day, weaving them into shared stories that drift toward dreams, tales carrying whispers of wisdom and joy that have unfolded with each passing of time. It is in these moments of camaraderie that you feel the essence of life's gentle current, sweeping you effortlessly forward. Night seeps into every corner, whispering the world toward rest as your eyes grow heavy. You nestle into the familiar contours of your bedding, surrendering to sleep's gentle grasp. The stars above hang like a spectator's chorus in the cosmic theater, watching over as you slip quietly into dreams, where possibilities dance like fireflies caught in moonbeams. Here, where the echoes of time coax you into the serenity of rest, you are cradled in the knowledge that tomorrow holds its promise, carrying the weight of stories yet unwritten. Breathe deeply the silence of this tranquil night and let yourself float softly into the arms of slumbering grace. Morning light unfurls gently across the horizon, brushing against the edges of the world with a comforting warmth that nudges you softly into wakefulness. You stretch, shaking off the last remnants of sleep, your mind slowly catching up with the rhythm of the day, taking shape outside your window. There's a quiet joy in this morning ritual, a simplicity that feels like home, like old socks that you refuse to throw away because they hold memories in every threadbare inch. As you rise, you're greeted by the subtle sounds of the village waking up, a familiar symphony that never fails to soothe. The clatter of pots, the murmur of early conversations, and somewhere, a rooster offering its timeless wake-up call, a soundtrack as dependable as those weekly playlists curated for sleepy Sunday afternoons. Breakfast is, as usual, a humble affair. Bread, cheese, perhaps a dab of honey if you're feeling adventurous today. A medieval equivalent of a weekend brunch that you let stretch luxuriously long, despite your plans to catch up on everything this time. It's nourishment that ties the mundane to the comforting, anchoring you as the world spins around in its peculiar, predictable dance. Stepping outside, the air is brisk, a cool embrace that sharpens your senses with its gentle caress. The path from your home to the fields feels like an old friend, its well-worn grooves mapping the many mornings you've set out in search of three simple pursuits: peace, purpose, and potatoes. Honestly, is there anything better than anticipating the yield of the fields, a bounty born from labor and love? As you engage in the day's work, there's a rhythmic nature to the physical toll farming exacts. It's an exercise both grounding and uplifting, its repetitive motions akin to the gentle meditation of knitting, where every stitch is a step toward completion, a promise of the whole emerging from the sum of its parts. There's a soothing satisfaction here, as the earth responds to your care with the gradual promise of future harvests. Historians still argue whether these methods, unchanged for centuries, were as efficient as they could have been, or simply reflections of stubborn tradition. Yet the fields, blooming with life beneath the expanse of the sky, argue silently for the efficacy of such continuity. Each plant, reaching up toward the heavens, holds within it a story of time's passage, of seasons intertwined with life, cyclic and generous. Your gaze flits occasionally toward the village church, its quiet beauty standing sentinel over the day's endeavors. Its bell tolls out an hour upon the air, a gentle reminder that time passes with or without acknowledgement, like unread notifications patiently waiting for their due attention. It marks the day's progress, though your hands seem to guide the rhythm of your thoughts more than any clock ever could. The midday sun trails its golden fingers across the landscape, encouraging everyone to seek refuge in shade and idle chatter while breaking bread. You gather with fellow villagers under the welcoming embrace of a large oak, passing around loaves and stories in equal measure. There's comfort in the way laughter swells and wanes, each person an indispensable thread in the tapestry that holds community together. In the quiet of afternoon, as chores resume with the sun blazing further westward, your thoughts meander toward the woods, places of both mystery and familiarity. Their paths crisscrossing like the countless conversations that travel their lengths. It's easy to imagine the timeless tales whispered by leaves rustling overhead, brushing against one another in an ancient dialogue that reaches beyond the grasp of mere words. The woodland shadows stretch invitingly, their depths promising adventure, tinged with just the right amount of caution. You've heard the tales woven about these woods, myths of creatures and spirits, narratives born from the human need to explain mysteries that resist simple answers. Yet walking within, there's a magic woven into every beam of sunlight that sneaks through the canopy, a promise of harmony between the seen and unseen. As evening descends, the village gathers itself inwards, each household becoming a microcosm of warmth and light amidst the cooling dusk. You find your way home, the gentle weight of the day settling around you like the softest of cloaks. Around the hearth, where a fire crackles out a soothing lull in the background, conversations drift along the currents of contented murmurs and sporadic bursts of laughter. It's the kind of setting that feels timeless, bridging the expanse between who you are and the world outside, offering a quiet understanding that life's flow doesn't always need to be hurried. As night blankets the world beyond your doorstep, you prepare to surrender to dreams once more. There's a simplicity to tucking in under the stars' watchful gaze, each one a tiny lantern casting its light softly across the universe's canvas. You close your eyes, knowing that tomorrow's story awaits its turn, eager to unfold with the day's first light. A sleepy whisper against the backdrop of history gently unfurling, drifts softly into the velvet folds of night, letting sleep guide your thoughts into realms untouched by daylight's demands, and let the world carry you gently forward into the promise that each morning holds, an unbroken narrative of peace and possibility, perfectly poised to begin anew. The morning arrives on silent wings, landing with all the grace of butterfly kisses against your sleepy eyelids. You stretch luxuriously, enjoying the quiet before the day sweeps in with its familiar routines and echoing rhythms. It's like the first sip of your favorite drink, where anticipation meets satisfaction in a delightful harmony. You rise, greeted by the chorus of villagers stirring to life, each sound a gentle nudge, reminding you that it's time to slip into the day's fabric. Breakfast is the usual affair, with chunks of hearty bread, a bit of cheese, and today, the slight indulgence of berry preserves. Yesterday's foraging success, now transformed into a sweet promise of the morning. It's like enjoying dessert before your day even truly begins. A tiny rebellion against the dictates of mealtime norms, much like sneaking a peek at spoilers, because the suspense is just too much. Once outside, you're enveloped by the bustling hum of village life. The sun peeks over the rooftops, painting the world in the warm tones of golden hues and long, slanting shadows that peek like playful kittens darting in and out of sight. You find yourself drawn to the water's edge, where the river flows with its usual quiet authority, a reminder of natural cycles that mirror the pulse of daily life. Today, the village is abuzz with anticipation as preparations for a seasonal festival begin. It's the kind of communal event that stitches the fabric of society even tighter, where everyone's participation, no matter how small, contributes to the whole. The air is electric with excitement, the festivities promising revelry amid the routine, an escape that will linger like laughter on the breeze. Historians still debate the origins of such celebrations, whether they hold remnants of ancient rites or simply provide cohesion for communities through shared joy. Yet as you observe the activity swirling around, it's evident that the heart of these gatherings lies in unity, a human need as enduring as time itself. In the midst of preparations, you take on the role of a helping hand, assisting wherever needed. It's a whirlwind of activity, each person weaving their unique thread into the tapestry of the event. Decorations emerge from simple stone and timber, transforming the village into a living canvas adorned with flowers and bright cloth. It reminds you of an impromptu community project where everyone's creativity becomes a vibrant echo against the normalcy of the everyday. Laughter and conversation fill the air as musicians tune their instruments, warming up for the evening's dance. Their melodies drip with anticipation, reminiscent of warm-up acts before the main event at a concert, the prelude to something unforgettable. As the afternoon gives way to evening, the village square becomes the heart of celebration. Lanterns flicker to life across the landscape, casting a warm glow over the gathering as music fills the waking dusk with its lilting charm. There's a palpable shift in the air. Possibility hums quietly, similar to the beginning of a symphony where every note feels dipped in magic. You find yourself among friends, sharing food that tastes of community and kinship. Fresh bread, meats seasoned with care, vegetables roasted till they flirt with caramelization. It feels like an indulgence, a tasting menu crafted from the ordinary into something extraordinary, with each bite echoing the collective effort of hands long practiced in the art of togetherness. As night deepens, laughter and music coalesce into a joyous crescendo that lilts under the sprawling night sky. Stars punctuate the darkness with whispers of infinity, each twinkle a subtle nod to the stories shared through dance and song. Everywhere, smiles flash like constellations, familiar and fleeting, yet lingering in their warmth. The festival unfolds like a dream beneath the stars, a tapestry woven through laughter, stories, and the gentle swaying of dancers twirling to melodies that seem older than the stones beneath your feet. It's a celebration of life itself, a collection of moments immortalized through the rhythm of heartbeats in sync with harmony. Eventually, as the festivities wind down and the stars grow sleepy overhead, you meander back home. It's a tranquil return to the hearth, where a fire crackles softly, waiting to welcome you with open arms. The evening's joyous echoes lull your senses, weaving a comforting cocoon around you as you slip into bed and surrender to the velvet embrace of a contented sleep. You close your eyes, knowing tomorrow looms with the familiar, enriched by the celebration that brought new stories and friendships. As you drift into the realm of dreams, a gentle calm envelops you, holding the promise that life, with all its simple wonders and shared joys, continues to be the greatest tale ever told. Morning's arrival feels like a gentle embrace, its presence wrapping around you softly, coaxing you slowly into the day. The world outside hums to life, each note of the day's symphony tuning up for the harmonious unfolding of daily rituals. You stir, savoring the comfort of your bed a moment longer, like those first minutes of a weekend morning when the promise of a slower pace lets you linger in peace. Rising, you find that the village, too, is stirring in response to the new day's promises. There's something serene about the cadence of morning activities, a rhythm that invites reflection amidst the routine. You grasp a slice of bread, pair it with cheese, and enjoy the simplicity of sustenance that ties the past and present in a smooth continuity, like the faithful consistency of your favorite podcast episode, always ready to accompany you through your morning routine. Stepping into the clearing, you're met with soft light spilling through the trees, dappling the ground in a tapestry of sunlit shadows, a moment painted with the artistry of nature itself. The air is filled with the scent of early dew and the promise of warmth to come. The village is a choreographed dance of duty, small tasks weaving an intricate pattern that binds lives together like a quilt where each square tells a story. Given yesterday's festival, today feels like a gentle aftermath, a collective sigh as the village savors the memories crafted under star-streaked skies. Historians still argue about the purpose behind such celebrations, whether they served a deeper meaning beyond joy. Perhaps they were acts of unity, or simply necessary pauses to breathe in the tumult of medieval living. Amidst the tasks at hand, the animals await your attention. Their bleats and clucks, a reminder of the perpetual cycle of life. The familiarity of their company, their simple needs, grounds you like the feel of an old, trusted journal. As you tend to them, you're reminded of the intricacies of such small interactions. Each creature, a thread in the larger tapestry that weaves your days together. Then there's the unexpected interruption, a small day adventure brought by a visit from a neighboring village. They bring tales and trinkets, their presence akin to pen pals long awaited, with stories exchanged faster than text messages. Shared laughter and friendly exchanges serve as reminders of the larger world outside your immediate gaze, hints of newness in an ongoing narrative. The day unfolds with gentle clarity, brightness woven through the hours in quiet splendor. Tasks tick off slowly, effortlessly, as you meander through the fields, your hands brushing over crops as they bask in the sun's glow. It's a space where each seedling promises a future, a story of growth and harvest unfolding in natural time. There's a satisfaction in seeing what comes from attentive care, an echo of patience that feels wiser than words spoken. Afternoon rolls in, heavier with warmth, leading you to a shaded spot by a leisurely stream, a small escape from the noonday sun. The water's soft babbles serenade your senses like the ambient sounds cradling a cozy cafe where time feels suspended. It's a spot for contemplation, a pause that invites your thoughts to unspool gently, like deliberating which book to dive into next. As evening draws near, you return to the village. The soothing simplicity of twilight seeps into every corner, a reminder of how light and shadow share the same embrace. You find yourself back with loved ones, the hearth's gentle warmth, a backdrop to shared stories, and aching bellies full of laughter. It feels like an inner circle, a quiet place where unspoken understanding turns silence into poetry. The moon rises slowly, painting the world in silver tones as darkness gently cuddles each sleeping soul. You crawl into bed, pulling the covers up under your chin, eyes flitting over shadows as they perform sleepy evening reels across your ceiling. The world narrows to the quiet cadence of crickets singing softly, a lullaby from the universe itself. Closing your eyes, dreams begin their quiet descent. Thoughts settle into the gentle rhythms of slumber, soothed by the knowledge that the cycle of day to night continues its steadfast, reliable journey. Embrace these moments of tranquility, allowing yourself to relax into the steady stream of days flowing peacefully by. Yet in this repetition lies the beauty of life's simple wonders, wrapping daily routine in a tapestry of endless potential. Sweet dreams unfold beneath the stars, quietly aligning themselves with every breath. Here, history breathes in whispers, softly beckoning you into another day awash with promise and tranquility. The morning arrives with the soft persistence of a cozy melody, nudging you awake in that gentle way nature has of announcing itself anew without fanfare. Your eyes open to the familiar world, and for a moment, the line between dreams and waking seems deliciously blurred, like the surface of a pond just skimmed by the lightest breeze. Stretching beneath your blanket, you feel the day's promise unfurl with the lazy grace of a cat stretching in a sunbeam. There's comfort in the routine as you rise, the well-rehearsed rhythm of morning easing you from slumber. You break your fast on bread and cheese, savoring each bite as sunlight spills across your table in a golden cascade. A gentle reminder that beauty lives even in the simplest of moments. Stepping outside, you drink in the morning air, a crisp, invigorating blend of scents that lift your senses beyond the horizon. Each breath feels like a cleansing balm, akin to plunging your hands into a bowl of cool water on a hot day. Everywhere, the village hums with life, each task lending itself to the exquisite choreography of daily living. Conversations drift lazily, like wisps of cloud, weaving a tapestry of sound where familiarity reigns supreme. Today's plan takes you to the fields, those whispering acres where nature's cycle dances its eternal rhythm. Amid rows of green, your hands find their usual tasks, a soothing repetition where small acts lead to great rewards. This simple triumph over the soil, this coaxing of life from earth, feels akin to knowing the perfect setting on a thermostat. Historians still debate the significance of agriculture's innovations back in our medieval days, pivotal breakthrough or gradual evolution. Where some argue you see the earth's unmistakable smile in response to loving kindness. While tending the fields, your thoughts meander to the village, now savored like a favorite book you know well enough to recall fondly without needing to flick through its pages. The quiet camaraderie of community life unfolds like the steady background hum of a sleep fan at night. Always present, always soothing, creating a safe harbor against the day's uncertainties. Afternoon arrives, wrapping the village in warmth, urging you indoors to escape the sun's fervent gaze for a spell. In the respite of your cottage, you find solace. From a blazing hearth on cooler days to a sun-dappled nook on warmer ones. Here, stories unfold, woven through laughter and sustenance shared with eager company. It's the epitome of contentment, this weaving of tales and truths over simple meals, like the multi-threaded conversations spanning continents in our modern age. As the sun dips lower, relinquishing its hold on the sky, you find yourself on a meandering walk toward the woods, the path unfolding like an invitation to wander further. There's a magic that lives amidst the play of light and shadow here, where paths adorned with old leaves speak the language of time, each crunch underfoot a profound echo through ages. The woods whisper with secrets of seasons past, their tales as ancient as the roots burrowing deep below. Evening approaches, and with it, the return to the hearth, where flickering flames cast a dance of light and shadow along the walls. The air is filled with the aroma of dinner, a rustic banquet relished for its depth of flavor and warmth of sharing. It feels like ordering takeout after a long week, the comfort of familiar indulgence carrying you through the weariness of effort. Around the fire, the village shares more than food. You share stories, extending beyond the confines of your day. There's an intimacy in these moments, reminiscent of a late-night heart-to-hearts when time feels infinite and the world waits beyond an invisible line you're too busy savoring to cross just yet. Night deepens as crickets compose their symphony under a sky jeweled with stars. You curl up under the weight of comfortable bedding and familiar dreams. The world quiets, leaving only the heartbeat of nature, a soft lullaby to grant you passage into dreams. Surrendering to sleep, your thoughts drift freely, finding solace in the continuity of life. A vast tapestry woven together by threads of moments, each day its own page, each night its quiet binding. Here, the stories of yesteryear meet today in the gentle embrace of slumber, cradling you gently into tomorrow's dawn. The dawn breaks softly, a ripple of light gently cascading over the horizon and whispering sweet promises of a new day. Each beam of sunlight wraps tenderly around your sleepy form, coaxing you from the warmth of dreams with a gentle insistence that feels like a favorite song's refrain, familiar, yet always welcome. You slowly rise, the chilled wooden floor meeting your bare feet with a refreshing nudge toward wakefulness, much like the brisk splash of cold water on a summer morning. As you slowly break away from the embrace of sleep, you find solace in the morning routine, a pattern as soothing and grounding as the rhythm of your breath. Breakfast, a simple affair of bread subtly sweetened by the memory of honey, fills the air with a warmth that feels like home. There's a calming constancy to this ritual, a reminder that each new beginning can be simple, yet profoundly fulfilling. It's not so different from starting the day with a familiar playlist that nudges you forward gently while carrying fragments of the past alongside new melodies. Stepping outside, the village welcomes you into its gentle bustle, a world slowly unfurling like a painted canvas kissed by morning light. The air feels crisp and alive, and you can almost taste the freshness that dances on the edge of each breath, like the first drizzle of rain in the heart of summer. The village paths, too, wear a morning coat of dew that glimmers like tiny pearls, each footstep releasing soft whispers beneath your feet. The day holds a quiet anticipation as you set off towards the fields, understanding well the season's promise tucked within each seed, ready to burst forth in its dance of life. There's a grounded peace found in the rhythm of planting and tending, coaxing life from the earth like carefully crafting a masterpiece, one brushstroke at a time. Historians still argue whether the methods of old were more art or science, but standing with sun-kissed earth in hand, you feel the heart of both stitched into every harvest. In these solitary hours among the rows, your thoughts drift to the people who make this village a tapestry of stories and shared histories. These pathways and plots hold the echoes of laughter, the marks of countless hands working with love and dedication. Life, in its simplest form, cultivated with the hope that comes with every dawn. The afternoon stretches overhead, the sun pure and golden as it spills across the landscape. Rest calls you to a shaded haven where you nestle against the trunk of a weathered tree, its branches extending shelter in a soothing, leafy embrace. As you sit, the world's vibrancy washes over you, inviting daydreams and gentle reflections of times gone by, much like flipping through a treasured scrapbook of moments captured and immortalized. As evening descends, the atmosphere takes on a golden hue, painting the village in warm tones that soften every edge. It's an invitation to wind down, to share in the day's quiet withdrawal. Returning homeward, you feel the pull of hearth and love, the embrace of family and friends woven through laughter that fills the air like a joyous chorus. Gathered around the fire, tales are shared, a wise reminder that while days pass and seasons change, the essence of togetherness remains a constant, as reliable as the North Star guiding a traveler's way. Here, stories are passed around like a communal feast, a banquet of words that fill the heart and nourish the spirit. As night wraps the village in its dark, comforting blanket, you find yourself slowly tucking in, wrapping up the day like a letter signed and sealed with the warmth of community. Under the sprawling sky, each star blinks its quiet guardianship over dreaming villages, a celestial audience to the whispered promises of restful slumber. In your bed, the familiar sensations of fabric and the gentle weight of covers weave together the threads of consciousness and tranquility. With a shared breath, you surrender to the gentle call of dreams, cradled by the night. Your thoughts flutter softly into the echoes of stories past and future, each beat of your heart another note in the world's timeless lullaby. Here, under the peaceful watch of an ancient moon, you drift into a profound stillness, one that carries the promise of another dawn, another day, each one a gift woven in history's gentle embrace. Rest, knowing that when you wake, the soothing rhythm of life will carry you peacefully forward once again.